I feel great. I feel great being with two wonderful candidates in this joint office opening. I call them the special election twins, and I guess they decided after their special election victories, why not? It worked, so let's keep going and do things together. And Dave and Eileen, thank you for pulling this together, inviting me up to it, to Mark Sickles and so many other great folks here in the crowd. Sharon and Brian, I think, may join us later, but it is a treat to be here for these wonderful candidates. And I want to say a word about each of them, but I'll just emphasize very, very important set of elections coming up this November. All across the Commonwealth, I'm doing events for people who are running for the legislature. It's the first election after redistricting. So the redistricting maps get drawn, and frankly, they get drawn in ways that are very tough on these House guys. And so on the House side, what the Republican majority thinks is, okay, we drew up this diabolical plan that will hurt Democrats for a very long time, but we can surprise them. And we need to surprise them. We need to make sure we return wonderful members like Eileen and Mark, and then we need to win a couple of strategic seats out there, and we can surprise them. Remember when the Republicans controlled all the levers, they drew their own maps in 2001 thinking they would guarantee their majorities for a long time. Within 6 years, we had taken the state Senate back on the maps that they drew. So what that means is, no matter how tough the maps might look, we can surprise them, and that's what we need to do. And as Dave said, the other big game is we got to hold on to the state Senate. Dave talked about the importance of it in terms of being able to make sure that there's some good government that happens in Virginia. I've recently been the recipient of some arm twisting on behalf of people who wanted to hold on to the U.S. Senate. And so I know when you have narrow margins, the races are always important, but when the margins are narrow, it's critical that we act. So it's hot, it's the summertime, but being out and doing canvassing today, and I know this isn't the first canvassing you've done, is really, really important that we do it. We know how to win these races on the ground. The Democrats are better at the volunteer game by far than the other side. And I know when Dave and Eileen win on election night, they will say we won because of our volunteers, and that's you. So give yourselves a big round of applause. I do just want to say a word about Eileen. She worked with my administration as with the Warner administration the year before, you know, working together, representing us and putting our best foot forward in Washington in our liaison office. And Eileen is just a remarkable public servant. Her husband Bob is here, who's a great public servant in Politico in his own right. Her two children are here. Great family, very focused on public service. It was interesting when Eileen got elected and was coming to join the House of Delegates and came down to be sworn in, like everybody already knew her, like the guards and the doorsmen and the guards and the staff at the governor's mansion. It was like, wow, you know, we've never had anybody come down who was so familiar to us. And she's come into the House of Delegates, which is tough because of the minority position of the Dems, but she's doing exactly what she said, which is standing up for the democratic values we care about. I do consider you a great friend. You did a great job with my administration. Thank you for mentioning my wife, Ann. You know why I know I'm going to get elected to the United States Senate? Because I've won 7 races, but when I ran statewide, my wife was a juvenile court judge, and she could never do a single political event with me. If I could win races without Ann, she could campaign for me. Now, I know I'm going to win. We're so happy to be your friends and to be proud of your success, and we're going to make sure you're victorious. To Dave, you know, Dave, I got to know Dave, and I want to acknowledge Jim Dillard is here. Where's Jim?
I think he had to take off.
Jim had to take off, so Jim is here as a former member of the House of Delegates. David worked with him as his legislative aide, and I got to know Dave first in that capacity. Politics is a game where the player gets to decide whether he's playing an individual sport or a team sport. I really like the team sport people. And sometimes the team sport people aren't as numerous as you might think. And when you have a good team player like Dave, it's fantastic. In his own right and as a team player, is a superb member of the Senate. His addition to the state Senate, picking up a seat that had been in Republican hands, was a great win. It gave the Dems a little bit of a cushion there that we needed. And so, Dave, it's great to be up here with you. Julia, Dave's wife, is here, and he's got a great family and others and friends here with him. But give Dave a big round of applause. Let's make sure